Last night, Pascal Siakam put on an all-time NBA performance, dropping 52 points on 68% shooting at Madison Square Garden. Now, this only puts a dent into the Raptors' problems, who are now 14-18 on the season. But if they choose to go into a rebuild, is Pascal Siakam the player that they should be building around? Let's get into it. What's going on, NBA and Raptors fans? Welcome back to Amateur Hour Sports, your source for the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news. If you want videos and content just like this more often in your life, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And I'm pleased to report we just hit 13,000 subscribers on this channel. So grateful for the support you guys give me to just talk about the Raptors and just fuel my passion to talk about sports on this platform here. I can't thank you guys enough for that. Let's try to accomplish even more in 2023, but still a little bit left in 2022. So join the Amateur Army if you've not done so already. Our video today is about, guys, Pascal Siakam yesterday put on an all-time display, as I mentioned there, 52 points on 68% shooting, but coupled along with that, 9 rebounds and 7 assists. Just a ridiculous performance. The New York Knicks had no answer for this player all throughout the game, especially in the third quarter. Siakam scored 17 straight points. They just couldn't do anything. They had no way of stopping Siakam. No matter what they threw at him, no matter what they did, Siakam was going to get his today, and it took all of those 52 points pretty much to get the Raptors over the line, finally ending that 6-game losing streak, also ending the Knicks' 8-game winning streak here. And Siakam, there's been question marks in the last week or so, not necessarily about his talent, because this season, we all know he's been operating at an all-NBA level, and the only thing keeping him out of an all-NBA and an all-star team is unfortunately that Toronto Raptors record. Losing 6 games in a row is not good for the Raptors record, especially in such a loaded Eastern Conference. The Raptors, who are 13-12 after their win against the Los Angeles Lakers, had 2 games coming up against the Magic. It seemed like, well, it's a really good situation to be in for the Raptors. Well, no, they lost 6 games in a row from that point, dropped to 13-18 on the season, and going against the hottest team in the NBA, things were looking bleak. But this is where your star players rise up above, and that is exactly what Pascal Siakam did. Doing this at Madison Square Garden like this, like 52 points on that amount of shooting, is ridiculous enough. But I'll have you know, guys, this is the 19th player in NBA history to score 50-plus points on 68% shooting. But this is the only one to do it with 7 or more assists. Siakam making NBA history yesterday, again, at MSG. So, using all that fuel to get the Raptors a win in this one, it was a much-needed win. The Raptors can choose to just allow this one to motivate them to kick on for the rest of the season. We know that's a bit of a difficult stretch coming up for the team. You still have some tough games. You have to go to Cleveland, then you host the Clippers, the Grizzlies, and the Suns. By no means is that going to be an easy way to end off 2022, but allowing a game like this to fuel you. There was a great video, open gym, of Pascal Siakam in the locker room after the game, everybody getting hyped up for the 50-piece. And of course, this team rallies behind its players. They seem like a good unit over here. And can we just continue to use this as fuel to just kick on with this season, get our season back on track? It is not too far gone as of yet. And I think yesterday was a very good indicator of that for this team. So where do the Raptors go from here? Obviously, with the difficult stretch of games coming up, the Raptors could still be in a position where they falter and their front office decides that this season isn't really worth trying to save. Now, again, we aren't at that point just yet. I'd like to see these next 4 games get into the new year before really making any sort of decision on the season, even if we can make a decision at that point in the season. But if it comes to it, the Raptors selling players at the deadline, going into a little bit of a retool mode, is Siakam one that they should be building around going forward? A hotly debated topic within the Raptors fan base is if Pascal Siakam can be the number 1 option on a contending team. And though I'm still a little bit on the fence about that, I don't think Siakam has ever really been given a proper shot to do that. I do think that the 2020 playoffs, where he played horribly against the Boston Celtics, was a really bad indication because, well, he was awful in that series. And if we're going to go off that, then, you'd certainly say that he can't be that number 1 guy. But that's just a very small sample size. That's a 7-game sample size where he didn't really have a co-star next to him. It was just a great team of depth around him. It was just, he definitely let us down in that playoff series. But it's been quite some time since then. Like, there's plenty of players around the NBA who have had a single bad playoff series, and I don't think we hold it over their head as much as we do for Pascal Siakam here, because last season against the 76ers in the playoffs, other than one bad game 3, he was excellent in that series, especially in games 4 and 5. Like, he was outstanding in those games 4 and 5. So if the Raptors can really work to put like an actual co-star next to him, I think that this can be the guy that's leading you through adversity, leading through the most difficult parts of the most difficult games. And I think yesterday was a really good indication of that. And it's not just yesterday. All throughout the season that we've had the ability to go to Pascal Siakam in clutch scenarios. Now, the only thing that's stopping him in those clutch scenarios are usually his teammates. When no other player on the team is going to score, the opposition team just clog down the paint and just look to hunt Pascal Siakam with double teams. They are happy to lose to somebody else in the Raptors, but recently, like, nobody else on the Raptors has been winning us games. It was just yesterday, no matter what the Knicks did, even late in the game, the Raptors weren't scoring, but they just went back to Siakam, and he always found a way. He always had an answer somehow, some way to get the points on the board for the Raptors there. So if you can get him a co-star, like, I really think that's something worth pursuing here. Like, Zach LaVine is seemingly a disgruntled star with the Chicago Bulls. Is that a player that you can maybe make a play for to add as a co-star next to Siakam? Adding in, like, shot creation and scoring next to Siakam, I think would unlock a lot of aspects about his game and just take his game to the next level. But you could be on the other side and think there's no way Siakam can be the number one option on a contending team. And I guess, based on what we've had in the history of his career with the Raptors, I think I can kind of understand that train of thought there. But ultimately, getting that number one guy, like, there's only like how many players in the league that you would consider number one players on contending teams? Like, maybe 10? Like, maybe 10? Siakam right now is playing like a top 15 player in the NBA. He's definitely top 20. I would wager he's top 15 on the NBA, and I think many neutral fans would also wager he's playing like a top 15 player. So improving on him is going to be extremely difficult to do for this team. And not saying that it's impossible, but is there really a trade that you can make to get a player even better than him to the team? And you maybe think, well, you can go look for a player like Victor Wembanyama in the draft, but then, okay, let's say we tanked and had the single worst record in the NBA. There's still an 86% chance that you don't get that player, and all of a sudden, you're still back in the same situation where Siakam is your best player. So I think using your assets, what you have here, would be important for the Raptors, and we're still deciding what this season is going to be 100%, but I think building a proper team, giving him a proper co-star could be an avenue the Raptors can pursue, and I think it would be a successful avenue for the Raptors to pursue. VanVleet had a good game offensively yesterday. OG was solid, put up just a little bit less than his averages from a point standpoint, but other than that, like, there really was no scoring from this team. Siakam, it was a do-it-all type of game, and my goodness, we needed all of it, again, to get over the line against this New York Knicks team. So I think it's a little bit unfair to judge because Siakam's never had that co-star, and what team can find success in playoff situations without that co-star? LeBron needed Anthony Davis. LeBron, as good as he is, needed Kyrie Irving. Last season, the Boston Celtics, everybody's frothing over Jason Tatum, and I think rightfully so. He's putting on an MVP season. He's my number one pick right now to win the MVP award. He needs a guy like Jaylen Brown, and even Jason Tatum was horrendous in the NBA Finals last season, or else the Celtics might have won that championship. But a player like him still needs a co-star like Jaylen Brown. Siakam is a player that just has never really had that in the period of time where he has to be the number one player on the Raptors. Sure, he's had all-star teammates like Kyle Lowry. He's had all-star teammates like Fred VanVleet, but they've never quite been that star beside him that he needs to really get this team to the next level. But I believe with the talent that he has, like, if the Raptors can fix up their record, he is well on pace to making his third all-NBA team of his career. Like, that just doesn't happen here. And that just especially just doesn't happen for a team like the Toronto Raptors. So using that asset to build around, I think would be a wise thing going forward. You're hoping that even a player like Scottie Barnes can rise up and become your best player, or become, the co-star that Pascal Siakam needs. Yesterday was not a good display from Scottie Barnes again. He shot 1 for 10 and was minus 16, was a disaster on defense. Again, very concerning, but, we're not giving up on a 21-year-old. Maybe Scottie Barnes can get to that point, but if the Raptors want to use this era of Siakam, which I think it would be pretty wise to do, given how talented he is and how rare it is to have a talent like that on your team, especially a smaller market team like the Raptors, not in terms of size, but in terms of attracting players and attracting free agents. I think you got to give it a proper go. I would say that if you do go into a rebuild, Siakam has to be the player that you're looking to add pieces to build around and take this team to the next level, because I believe he is good enough. And if last night is any indication, I know it's just one game, but he's been balling all season. The career high 52-point performance might be the biggest of the season, but I feel like this is something that he is capable of repeating. Guys, what do you think about this? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Is Siakam the guy you want to build around, or should you trade Siakam and see what you can get from him and start brand new? Let's hear it in the comments. But that wraps it up for me for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Drop a like if you did enjoy, and remember to subscribe for the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news. Thank you again, guys, for 13,000 subs. Really do appreciate it. I'm super grateful. Can't spend too much time on this video. I could talk forever how thankful I am for the community that we have built up over here, and I'm eternally grateful for you guys providing me this platform to talk about my passion, the Toronto Raptors.